Good morning, I'm back with another tutorial today, this time for the boots. I use this pattern quite a bit for all of my other plushies that I make. There have been tweaks to some of the newer ones, but for the Pumpkin Man in particular, the way that it's written, I guess it can be a little bit confusing for some people. So we're just going to do a really quick tutorial on that. And again, this is not like instructions on how to crochet this. This is for if you have the pattern and you need additional help crocheting certain parts of the pattern. So last time I did one for the cuffs, you can find that on my page, and today we're going to go over the boots. Let's get started. Okay, so this boot starts by chaining our 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to single crochet into that first chain and in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3. And just so I don't forget, I'm going to mark that first one with my stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to put it right into here. And then in our last chain, we're going to put 5 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, then we get to turn our work so that we can work along the other side of the chain. And I like to work around my tail to kind of work it into there. So I'm going to go into this stitch right here. And we're just working our way back, so 4 stitches for that one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that will bring us to the end. Now what we're going to do is put our join with a slip stitch to this first stitch here, so where our stitch marker is. So we're going to join with a slip stitch, and that's going to bring us all the way back. I'm going to remove my slip stitch, and for my next row I'm going to chain 1, and it says to put 1 single crochet into the same stitch, which would be this one right here where we took the stitch marker out of. So I'm going to put my single crochet into that one, and I'm going to mark that with my stitch marker, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet into the next 3, and then I need to increase into those 5 single crochet that we did before. We're going to increase in each stitch. I'm just grabbing some more yarn here. So let's do those increase stitches. We're going to put 2 single crochet into each one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so again, we've kind of turned to work around to the other side because we are working in the round. And the next thing that we need to do is put 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to put 2 single crochet into this spot right here. Okay, so let's do that. 1 and 2, and then we're going to slip stitch to our first stitch, which brings us there. And at this point we should have 20 stitches in our boot. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so that kind of is the confusing part there. In that little gap in the last bit is where you want to put those 2 extra stitches. Okay, let's go on to round 3. Okay, so for round 3, I'm just going to take my stitch marker out for right now, it says to chain 1, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet back into that same stitch, so right here where I took my stitch marker out of, and I'm going to place my stitch marker back in there. Okay, now all I'm going to do is put 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so that's all you're going to do. Just single crochet around until you get to the end, and I will meet you at the end. You can pause now and meet me there. So here we are at the end of round 3. Your boot should be looking something like this. I think this is the part that can be confusing to some people, where we get this bar here, it looks like another stitch, but we won't be working into there. As long as you have your 20 single crochet, you've gone around, you've counted 20, you are good. We're going to just slip stitch to that first stitch, and we're going to chain 1 for round 4. So for round 4, it says to do 1 single crochet in the same stitch right there. Let's place our stitch marker, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. And now we need to do some decreasing. So we're going to do our single crochet 2 together. Again, that's working through just those front loops when we single crochet 2 together. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. So we're going to do 2 more because we just did 1. So decrease and 1, and decrease and 1, and then we're going to just single crochet to the end of our row. And again, do not work into that bar there, because that was just where we slipped. It made that little mark, or that bar, that stitch, and we're going to just slip stitch to our first stitch, and we're good for round 5. Let's take our stitch marker off. We are going to chain 1, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the same stitch. Let's put our stitch marker back in there, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, and then we are going to single crochet 2 together 4 times. So let's decrease 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you're going to want to single crochet to the end of your round. And don't work into that bar, but you will slip stitch to the first stitch to close that round up, and you can see it is kind of forming that booty. It will look weird. It looks a little bit funny to start, but when you keep going and you step it, it does take its shape a little bit more. Let's do round 6 here. This will be getting close to the end. We're going to chain 1 and put 1 single crochet back into that same stitch, and we can mark that with our stitch marker. And we're going to do 1 single crochet this time, and then we are going to single crochet 2 together 3 times. So 3 decrease stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And we are going to single crochet to the end. Again, do not work into your bar there. And we are not going to join with a slip stitch. So if you read the note, do not join the end of round 6 with a slip stitch. We're just going to continue crocheting around. So ignore your bar. And for our round 7, we're just going to immediately work into where we have our stitch marker. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to just insert my hook into there and do my first single crochet, And I am going to keep going around. No decreasing, no increasing. We are just doing a round of single crochet stitches. And you're actually going to do that for 3 more rounds. So crochet your rounds 7 to 10 as your single crochet rounds, and then I will meet you back here to show you the next part. Once you've finished all of your rounds 1 to 10, this is what your boot should be looking like. Now this is the pattern for my original pumpkin man. I am debating updating the pattern to be a little bit different, but this is just how I did it in the beginning. Some of my newer patterns, they don't do the chaining anymore. It is just all continuous in the round. This is just how we do it for this one. Okay, so it says to place your yarn on hold. Again, what that means is just pulling up a really long loop and letting it hang there, because we are going to go and do something different now, and we just don't want to accidentally like tug that loop out. So the next round is worked between rounds 9 and 10, and we're going to be doing that from the inside of the boot. So our boot should be facing away from us with your toes facing up, and we are going to basically be crocheting from the inside. So let me grab some contrasting yarn and we'll do the next part. I did remove my stitch marker because I know that that's where the round is going to start for the next one, and I'm using pink. This will be his leg color, and what we need to do is insert our hook from the inside of the boot out to the out and back in so we can pull up a loop. So I'm going to work around these stitches here first. So I'm going to insert my hook and bring it back in. Okay, so it's kind of like that. I'm going to wrap the yarn around my hook, and I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to secure that with a chain. And you're just going to kind of do that all the way around the boot best you can. It is a little bit tricky, definitely tricky to film as well. Finding those stitches, working around the post and crocheting to the inside of the boot. And for this, we want to create 10 single crochet stitches. I truly hope this is translating to the camera. Okay, so let's see how many we have right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then our little chain stitch that we did at the beginning there. So after we do those 10 single crochet stitches, we're actually going to put this yarn on hold now, so that can just hang out, and we're going to return back to our boot. Now the reason that I did it this way was because I wanted it to really look like the leg was coming out of the boot, and I didn't want there to be any gaps. Sometimes when you work into the back loop, it can kind of just be a little bit flimsy, so I found this way was super secure, and then it's easier to get back to this part and do that. So we're going to just return back to our boot color, and we are going to single crochet stitches around for 3 rounds, so rounds 11 to 13. And once you've done your 10 single crochet stitches for your 3 rounds, then you are good to fasten off, and I will meet you at the end of that round. This is what our boot should be looking like after we've finished doing our rounds 11 to 13. So that pink yarn is kind of hidden inside. You can see these stitches out here, which is totally fine because when we fold this down, you won't see it anymore. So let's go ahead and finish off round 13 completely. So all we're going to do to finish that off is slip stitch into our next stitch. Pull our yarn just a little bit. We're gonna cut that off. We're done with that boot yarn. And I'd like to weave in this end now, just to hide it a little bit. And let's go down into here, and we'll kind of go through these stitches just a little. Okay, cut off the excess. Okay, now we need to fold our cuff down. This can be a little bit tricky. Just try to flip it over. Work its way down there as best you can. And those pink stitches will start to pop out again. There we go. So that kind of folds our cuff over there and pops our leg stitches out. And now we're going to stuff the boot. So I've got my stuffing here, and I'm just going to try to put in as much as I can. Now the pattern does say to use a 6.5mm hook, but I suggest just using what you find works best for you to crochet this, because you don't want your stitches to be so tight that you're having trouble working with them. So if, say you used 7mm hook for your whole rest of your pattern, just continue to do that all the way through. See how that kind of shapes it a little bit better? You can see it looks more like a boot, and you can do it as stuffed as you like. I typically don't stuff my whole leg. I like to stuff my boot though. Just enough, not to stretch the stitches too much, but to give it some shape, squish it around. Okay, and after you've stuffed it and you're happy with that, you can continue with the leg. So you're just going to go back and pick up that leg color and continue with your boots and legs section, which is really just crocheting around. So you're going to find that first stitch and work into there. If you're doing stripes, you can do stripes. If you're doing a solid color, you don't have to worry, just crochet as much as it tells you to do. And you've got yourself a leg. I know this is kind of complicated. It is kind of a different technique. There's probably an easier way. I have changed it a little bit in my newer patterns. I just haven't got around to changing it in this one because I don't know if everybody wanted that update. It would be a lot of people to email it out to, but I might change it. I might tweak it a little bit. I'm not sure it would make things that much easier because all of my patterns kind of work quite similarly, but yeah, that's how we crochet the boot, and you would just repeat that for your second one around and move on to your next section. So I hope that helps, and if you have any questions, let me know. There we go. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found that tutorial helpful. If there's anything else you'd like to see me do, make a tutorial of, let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all the things. I think the next thing I'll do is probably the joining the legs, so watch for that one next. And yeah, I'll see you next time.